Creepers left and right, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to stimulate it. Spiders in the mirror and things can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spear drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes, the best part of my life. And when we make love, babe, don't make a sound. The clock won't turn around. Ooh, you turn around. 2,000 little fires. And ooh, your siren call is spreading. Slowing things down when I wanted to race. Catching up again when you try to chase. Feels like we're playing space. You always find a way to make up, right? Even when it was such.
Good morning, my friends. Hello. Welcome back to another vlog. I know it's been a little while since I vlogged, and I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it, and I am sorry. But I missed you, and I felt like vlogging today, so here we are. We're starting another weekly reading vlog, and I just am kind of like in between books, and I'm ready to start a new one, so I thought it would be a great time to start a vlog clip. I hope you have some tea, or coffee, or whatever your beverage of choice is. This is actually probably not going to be a super long clip because I haven't read anything, so I don't have anything to talk about yet, but I have been reading a lot of contemporary this month, like a lot of dark romance and just contemporaries, and kind of still trying to feel my way through this reading slump that really kind of threw me for a loop. So I've been a little cautious about the books that I pick. I did reread a favorite of mine, Watership Down, which was a favorite of mine since I was small, and I hadn't reread, not real small, since I was like 14. And I hadn't reread it in a really long time, and so I reread that, and it was just so delightful. I freaking love that book. If you're a fan of Watership Down, could you please let me know down below, because I feel like it's a classic with some readers, but a lot of people have not ever read it, so it's one of my favorites. I should have brought my physical copy in here, but I did not. It's way back on my shelves in there, but anyway, let's move on to this vlog. So I thought that what I wanted to do is I wanted to get more historicals read because I just have been wanting to read more of them. So I have some picked out here, and I also have a theme. So this is kind of going to be, hopefully, if all goes well, y'all know how like I start a vlog with a theme and then I'm like, oops, nope, sorry, never mind, my mood took me somewhere else. So the theme, my idea for this vlog is to read books with Duke in the title that I haven't read yet. So the ones that I'm thinking I will go with are Romancing the Duke by Tessa Dare. This is, I think, the first in the Castles Ever After series. I know, I also can't believe I haven't read this book yet. This is one of those books that I feel like everyone loved, and so I just hadn't gotten to it yet, and then it just kind of languished on my TBR forever because it's like, well, everybody's already read it, so. But that's kind of a silly way to think of things, but that is something that I think about often because I make content about the books that I read, and so I want to be reading books or trying to find books that are new to recommend to you, but I just decided I wanted to read a Tessa Dare, and I wanted to go with this one, and it has Duke in the title, so I have this one. And then I also have The Duke by Kerrigan Byrne. I actually have not finished this series, largely because this is the book that I'm stuck on, and I have heard very mixed opinions about this. I've heard people don't really love it, so I'm nervous about it, and I've been nervous about it, and I haven't carried on with the series because I'm stuck on this book and I'm nervous about it. And like, honestly, I feel like I feel like I kind of often am on the verge of a reading slump, and so I very, very heavily will be just a mood reader, and if I don't really feel like a book, then I usually don't read it unless I have to, like a review copy or something for book club. But I think this cover is so beautiful. Like, don't you agree? Focus on their faces. See, oh, it's so freaking pretty. I think this is such a gorgeous cover. So I'm very excited to try this. I feel like I'm in the mood for it, but I'm not going to start with that one. And I'm also not going to start with the Tessadaire, so I'm kind of going backwards order. This will probably be the last book I read. This one will probably be the second. And then the book that I'm going to start with is actually this Anna Harrington, If the Duke Demands. I've heard nothing but great things about this book. I have read Anna Harrington before, I just haven't read this one, and I was really impressed with her book that I had read. It was her release last year. So, I'm going to read these. I'm very excited. In general, I don't really know what they're about. They're about dukes and historical romance. Somebody's probably going to get ruined and scandal and all that good stuff. So, we're going to read these. I'm excited. I'm very happy to be vlogging again. Kazi's here. He needs a haircut. He needs a haircut so bad. He needs a haircut, huh? We're getting a new puppy. Another giant schnauzer will be joining our family in a few weeks, so we gotta get ready for her, huh? Yeah. Hopefully you guys won't be tired of puppy content, because that will be happening, I'm sure. Anyway, alright, I'm going to start my workday, and I'm going to start listening to this. I'm very excited about it, and I'll check in with y'all when I have something to update you about. Hello friends, I'm going to give you a quick reading update. So, I've been listening to If the Duke Demands by Anna Harrington, and I am this far in. I'm on chapter 7, so this far. And I'm very much enjoying this. I really like her writing style. Like, when I read an arc of hers last year, whatever book, I can't remember the title, I think it was An Extraordinary Lord or something like that released last year. And I really, really was impressed with her writing. I think something that she does really well, and she did in this book too, is she starts off with an opening scene that like instantly grips you and captivates you and intrigues you. And I love that so freaking much. I think that she does that very well. So this book opens with the Duke in the story. His father had just died, and so he's like on his deathbed and finding that out, that now he's the Duke and he's responsible. And then it shifts to a ball, like a masked ball, where the heroine is in a mask and the hero is in a mask, and she actually is crushing or having feelings for the hero's brother. So she arranges what she believes to meet the hero's brother in a room, and she's gonna like seduce him. But they both have masks on, and she doesn't realize that it's actually Sebastian, the hero, not the brother that she wanted. Am I making that make sense? So they like start kissing, making out, like it goes pretty far, like he touches her naked breasts and she's like into it. And then she calls him Robert and he's like, wait, what? And that's when he realizes that she thinks that he is his brother, and it's delightful. So then they enter into this, after that awkwardness, they separate and come back later where the Duke, his mother, is going to sponsor her for her first season and help her, find a match and whatever. And she really wants it to be Robert, but he is like not interested in her at all. And so the Duke works out this arrangement where she's going to help him find a bride because he has to produce an heir and a son. Anyway, it has what I think are very typical historical romance plot points, but I'm just very invested in this story. I really like the way that she's telling it. I really like, she does this thing where she gives you very little subtle moments that show that Sebastian, who is a pretty starchy Duke so far, that show that he is actually, ever since that moment of passion, that he was just like going with it, that show that he very much is starting to have feelings for her and is being very interested in her. Her name is Miranda. So I don't know, I'm really liking this. There's also this moment just now where they were at another ball where she was like having her dance card filled and everything, and Sebastian is starting to feel like protective of her and doesn't want anything bad to happen to her. and he like gets offended if people like shun her or whatever. I don't know. I'm very much enjoying it. This is a wonderful historical romance, and I'm very happy. I hope that it pans out to be just as good as it's starting out to be. Like, I hope it doesn't like go downhill, the pacing or the romance or whatever, because I'm seriously loving it so much, and it's very good. So that's the update for that, and I will come back probably when I finish it, but I just wanted to give you an update because I just started it. Well, I didn't just start it. I'm giving you an update because I have things to say, so I'll see you in a bit when I have more things to say. Hello friends, welcome back. Okay, I finished a book. Let's talk about it. So, I finished If the Duke Demands by Anna Harrington, and honestly, I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed. I had heard such great things about this book, but I also really, really enjoyed the opening of this book. Like, the opening scene was so, like, it was filled with so much tension, and it had such great promise for some excellent storytelling and some really great, like, angst between the couple, you know, like, I felt like this was going to be so good. Like, the moment when he realized that she did not, the moment in the beginning when they're, like, you know, having a steamy moment, when he realizes who she is and that she thinks he's his brother, like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so good, you know? But I felt like that, like, there was no tension between, like, I didn't want, like, love triangle level of tension, but I was hoping for a little bit more tension between the two brothers and her. And there really wasn't, you know, like, I do love a good dash of jealousy, not gonna lie, and I felt like this had a great setup for that. And I just felt like, overall, like, the Duke, the hero, he waits so long, like, until the very end, before he finally realizes that he actually can marry her, even though she's a commoner. And like, the whole time in the book, like, and I know this is realistic, I know this was a thing, but I just don't love it when my heroes spend, especially like my Duke heroes, and when they fall in love with someone who's not a lady or a highborn woman, you know, when they want a woman who is not a good match, and they spend the entire book basically telling her that, yeah, you're good to screw, but you can't ever really be my wife. Like, I can't ever make you my wife. And I just don't like a hero like that. I just don't. It's very hard for me to get on board with a hero who, I mean, not only thinks that and that's his motivation, and he's like keeping her at arm's length, but when he tells her that repeatedly, it just like makes that hero go from like up here to like way down here. And I'm just like, I don't really like you. I don't really care, you know? So I was pretty disappointed in how long he really clung to the idea that he could not marry her, that he could not have her as a wife, even though he said he loved her. Like, I wish that he had not kept throwing that in her face and just had that take up so much of his brain space, so much of his self-reflection, that was the thing that kept them apart. I would have loved it if it had been more about, like, well, you know, she wants my brother, does she have feelings for me? Like, I feel like that would have been so much better. I felt like that would have been so much better. It would have had such great opportunity for really emotional development, instead of this very stereotypical, overdone idea of, I can't marry her because she's not a lady. Like, I was hoping for more, I really was, and I felt like that opening scene set the stage for something that could have been so deliciously angsty and romantic and emotional, and it just wasn't, you know? So that's probably my big gripe with this book, but also, their relationship is so very clearly attraction-driven. It is so attraction-driven. Like, the whole time, he can't stop thinking about her because of their first interaction. Like, he was into it, you know? Like, he didn't know who she was, but he was just like, wow, okay, yeah, let's do this. You want me, you know? So his entire opinion of her is colored by that sexual encounter in the beginning, and his desire for her reigns supreme, and he can't stop thinking about her. And I couldn't help, and maybe this is because I'm a bit cynical, but I could not help but feel like his entire reason for feeling drawn to her and wanting her was purely because he didn't get to have her in the beginning, you know? And I didn't really feel any type of an emotional connection between the two of them. I felt like it was very, 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 very much based on attraction. And that's a big pet peeve of mine. I really hate when attraction is confused as love, because attraction is super easy. It is very easy to be attracted. Is attraction important in love? Yes. Obviously, you need to be attracted to the person that you love, and that's a driving force of it. But there was literally nothing else. Nothing else in here that was compelling them to be together. There was nothing else in here that made me feel like they saw beyond this person that they had really hot and bothered feelings for. They have several like sexual encounters or near sexual encounters where you can just feel the heat is just rising, and it's fun. It's fun to read, but it left me feeling very empty and sort of like, I don't know how I'm supposed to root for this couple when I don't really feel like they have any emotional connection. They just want to do each other, you know? And I'm honestly pretty disappointed in that. So, it was frustrating. Like, even the moment when they first have sex, when they finally do, like, she has this moment almost immediately after where she's reflecting on her feelings about him, and she is like, oh, I love him. I realize this isn't just infatuation, this is love. And I'm like, I really don't like when that happens, like, right after sex. I'm like, is it really love? Really? Like, what about him do you love? I couldn't see anything that she would find about him to love other than how he makes her feel physically, which is just too weak for me. It's just too weak. So I know I've said it, I'm disappointed in this book. I had high expectations. I really like her writing style, but this just absolutely didn't deliver for me. So 3 stars. 3 stars, I feel like, I mean, it's a fun read. I wasn't bored, but I also feel disappointed. I feel like it was a missed opportunity for some really great emotional connecting that just never happened. And like I said, like, I just could not get over the idea that neither of them were actually in love with each other. They just wanted to do each other. Like, they had a lot of chemistry and they had a lot of passion, and it's just, there was nothing else in the narrative that compelled me to believe that they loved each other, that they had feelings for each other, that was anything other than they want to get in each other's pants. And I just don't care about that. That's not why I'm reading a romance. I wanted to have some swooniness. I wanted to have some emotional connection, and there just really wasn't anything in here for me. So that's disappointing. I'm sad, but I read it. Now I can unhaul it because it's not a book that I'm going to want to keep. I don't really like the cover. It's nothing. I will never reread this book, so I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed. I'm big time disappointed, not going to lie. The beginning was so good. But yeah, it just took too long. I don't know. Anyway, okay, I've talked enough about it. But like, I cannot get, anytime that a romance has, like, they have sex or they have some physical intimacy, and then, like, they've had a lot of attraction, but they don't ever really see anything else about that person other than I am so turned on by them. It's just not for me. It's just too lackluster. It's too basic, to be quite honest. It's too basic. Human attraction is the most basic thing in the world. It doesn't take much to want to do somebody. Is that too much? Am I being too sassy? But seriously, like, I don't know. But what else? What else is there, you know? And I kept comparing this book to the Ava Leigh book that I read earlier this year, The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes, because that was something that I noticed she did so well in that book. I love that book so much. I think it's one of the best historicals I've read this year, honestly. But the thing I really loved that she did in there is that she really executed this this great physical connection, that they had a lot of great chemistry. But she would also so subtly put in there, like, things that they were noticing about each other, like, maybe, like, a certain amount of kindness, something about them that was unexpected, that drew them to that person more than just they're hot. Hotness ain't enough. It just is not enough for me. And I feel like this is where I feel like I'm an old person, because I'm just like, look, I've been around for a while, right? finding someone attractive is one of the easiest things about about being a person in this world. Not really. That's not entirely fair, but it's just very basic, and I just want more. I want them to see more of who this person is. I want there to be an emotional connection, and I just didn't feel that from that book at all. The plot was weak. The thing that kept them apart was super weak, and it just, Okay, I've ranted about that book for 10 minutes. Today is also Friday, and Bridgerton releases today, so I was thinking about vlogging that, but I'm just not going to. I'm just going to watch it. I'm just going to watch it, see how I feel. I may just do a short video talking about my feelings about the movie. I don't know if I will do that or not. I may do that. I don't know. I'm just talking out loud now. But the next book that I want to read, I don't know that I'm going to get 3 books in this vlog. I think because it's already Friday, I think I'll be good if I get one more vlog, one more book in this vlog. So the book I want to read next is The Duke by Kerrigan Byrne. I'm really, really in a mood where I want a specific author's writing style. Like, I want good writing, and Kerrigan Byrne has really good writing. I love her writing so much. So I'm very excited, but also I'm trying to keep my excitement low because I've heard mixed opinions about this, but I am excited to at least be diving into a Kerrigan Byrne. We'll see what I think about this. I'll keep you updated if I have anything else to say. I'm sure you'll hear from me again. I'll see you all soon. Okay, thanks for watching.
The last breath of summer is blowing down our necks, and soon we'll wave goodbye to the fleeting bliss. Because you are like a tidal wave, ripping up my life, not living without a trace. And you know that I'm your silent patient. You know I'm your silent patient. I've been waiting to hold me up. I'll be holding on through the winter for your kiss to wake me up. Now with the colors of spring, my heart will blossom up again. The speeding up, and with your smile it will erupt. And I collect all I can, set aside all the supplies. Your kisses and warmness to get through winter time. Because I'm your silent patient. Yes, and I'm your silent patient. I've been waiting so long for us to hold me up. I'll be holding on to the winter for your kiss to wake me up.
Hello friends, hello, welcome back to my bedroom. Today is Saturday, and so I've got a sick kid at home. I mean, he was sick yesterday, and so I'm in my bedroom again. I'm sorry we're in the same situation, but I have some things to say, and I wanted to say it like freely without feeling like my family was eavesdropping, you know? So, alright, let's talk about the book that I am reading, The Duke by Kerrigan Byrne. Okay, now I just want to say really quickly, I'm absolutely loving this. I am loving this so much. And can I just say how deeply I love and admire Kerrigan Byrne's writings. Like, she is such an incredible writer, not just at telling you a story that makes you, like, flip the pages. Like, honestly, I feel like she writes, for the most part, books, romances specifically, that is exactly what I'm looking for. And I feel like that's really hard for me to find, you know? So I think this could be a 6-star read. I really think it could be, and I am kind of sad that I have put off reading it so long because I heard of some negative reviews, and I think that this is really a good lesson for me, which I already knew, at how important it is to sort of take reviews that you hear into consideration based on what you know you like about books, right? And I feel like it's not really a book reviewer's obligation to say the things that I know I'm looking for, but I don't know, I think that what turned me off is I heard a lot of negative things about the hero, that he was basically like a giant jerk the whole way through. And I just want to say that, I mean, he definitely can be, but he is such a complex character, and that is what I'm looking for. I want complex characters. I want difficult situations. I want a lot of layered development and situations in my characters. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this book so much. I feel so happy right now because I have been missing this type of read, and here I have found it with a book that has been sitting on my shelves for years that I decided might not be for me, and wow, was I ever wrong. I mean, to be fair, I'm halfway through, a little over halfway through, so that's still a lot of book that could change my mind, and it could lower my rating. I dearly, dearly hope it doesn't, because this book is fantastic. So, let me tell you what this book is about, if you didn't know. This is book 4 in her Victorian Rebels series. It is basically about our heroine, who she ends up working in a brothel, basically, in the beginning. The interesting thing about most of Kerrigan's books is that we usually have some point in the past where the hero and heroine have met, they have some type of interaction, years pass, and then they come back together. So that's how the opening begins, and here's this heroine is working in a brothel, but she's a virgin. She's not necessarily working in a brothel, she's basically like a waitress type of thing. She also is a nurse for a large portion of this book, which was really, really interesting. But anyway, so she is in this brothel, and she is not for sale, and in comes this group of young men, and this man, who is clearly the leader of them. He is in the military, I believe, right? He's the English Empire's golden son. He's the Duke, and he basically has the whole world at his feet. Like, the way she describes when this group of men walk in is basically that, like a pack of wolves that are all looking to the leader, like he is the leader of them, and it's just so compelling. So, he immediately sees Imogen. His name is Colin, or Cole. He immediately sees Imogen, and they have this really powerful connection. Like, he wants her, he desires her, and he offers an exorbitant amount of money to have her for one night. And, you know, like, basically her employer relents because the price is so high. And so they end up having this one night of passion. It was her first time. They have this incredible connection that neither one of them has forgotten through the rest of their life. And then they separate. Then a few years pass. The heroine is working as a nurse at a hospital. The Duke comes in with a very grave injury, and the doctor misdiagnoses it as something, and she is convinced that that's not what it is and that he's going to die if they don't treat it for what she believes it to be. She immediately recognizes the Duke as the man from that night, and he calls her Ginny, which is the name he called her that night. Oh my gosh, it's so freaking good, you guys. But he says it, like, in his sleep, you know, like, he's not realizing that that is her. He's sort of, like, dreaming about Ginny, this woman that left this incredible impression on him, you know? Oh my gosh, it's so freaking good. I'm so sorry. I'm really trying not to gush, and I'm trying to be coherent, but books like this get me so excited about reading, and I'm going to try and tell you exactly why that is. So anyway, she ends up convincing one of the other surgeons that it was actually this, like, sepsis, and that he's got an infection, they need to do surgery to get it out, instead of typhus, which the other doctor believed it to be. And so they do that, and she is the reason that he is alive. She saves his life that night. She actually ends up losing her job, and is in some pretty dire financial straits. Her family relied upon her to have that income. She ends up in a really bad situation where she is sexually assaulted, or not fully sexually assaulted. She's attempted sexual assault. She ends up killing the man who was assaulting her and gets away safely, but now she's basically on the run. So she finds herself marrying an old friend. He is an older man, but they are just really dear friends. And he's kind of on his deathbed, not quite literally, but a few months, like 9 months down the road, he ends up passing away. But they marry so that he can protect her and save her from, getting in trouble for killing this man. And then she's a widow, but now she has his fortune and all that stuff. So all of this is happening in the very beginning, before our hero and heroine are really together. We only have that first night that they were together that, again, has left a lasting impression on them. They end up eventually meeting, and there is a plot to kill this young woman, and so he is sort of trying to figure out who is doing the killing. I'm not entirely sure about that plot. We're just sort of getting into that right now. Murders are happening. There's a big mystery plot. We're seeing so many characters from the previous books, which is so delightful. I'm loving that so much. But this book is so full of these really sort of just human moments in their interaction and their inner thoughts that I feel like are so completely relatable, and that's something that I dearly love about books. I want to see those human moments, basically, when the characters are sitting there and they're reflecting about things and they're wondering how the person is feeling about them, and they have this internal dialogue of all the things that they feel like are their flaws, but it is never written in a way that is heavy-handed. It's not navel-gazing. It's just this powerful, beautiful moment that is really, truly just a huge testament to Kerrigan's writing power, because I think that sometimes prose like that can come across as navel-gazing, basically, or also just pretentious, but it never is. It always just hits me with just this emotional power, and I just freaking love it so much. So, something interesting here. Well, while we're talking about the writing, I'm going to read you a little excerpt that kind of demonstrates what I mean when I talk about those moments that are just purely human. So this is basically when the hero is talking to the heroine. This isn't going to give any spoilers away, but it is just a little excerpt of the writing to let you try and illustrate what I mean. They have a moment, and he kisses her, and he's thinking about it the next day, and she kisses him, actually. Oh my gosh. Okay, so she'd kissed him. She'd seen him. There in her garden, she'd used the moonlight to illuminate him, and she'd asked him if he was all right. Not like most post the question, as though they'd queried 1,000 people 1,000 times, but as though she wanted the answer, like it meant something to her, like he'd meant something to her. And he'd wanted to tell her, hadn't he? That he, in fact, resembled nothing close to all right, that he seethed one moment and was completely numb the next. He wanted to confess that he hated the entire world, that he hated himself most of all, that he remembered how to survive, but not at all how to live. He'd wanted to give voice to his greatest fear, that he'd be this shadow of a man, until he finally decided to end his own life, because there were no fresh wonders left, nothing to conquer, nothing worth protecting, nothing to fight for, nothing to live for. That the night would only ever be too dark and full of remembered suffering, that the day would only ever be too bright and too loud, that all his moments would bleed into the next, and time would steal his memories, just like it did that of Ginny's face, and he'd forever yearn for what he'd never again attain. Because not only was he not worthy, he was not capable. That killed me. Literally dead, deceased. I die for that moment. It's just so beautiful, So I feel like he's having this moment, he's having all of these thoughts. She sees him for the first time, and he is still stuck in his feelings about Ginny, thinking about her, even though they only had this one night. And I think this is a really interesting parallel, because the first book that I read had this sort of the same thing, where they shared this one night of almost passion. But it didn't have this emotional power, and this is what I'm wanting. This is how I want that to happen, right? I don't necessarily have a hard time, a fight, basically, with one nights of passion leading to romance. But I want there to be added depth to why that person had such an impact on them. And it can't just be that the sex was really good. Never. I just can't. I just don't care. I just don't. I'm loving this book so much. Okay, so this book is amazing. I am deeply moved by this. I can't wait to see where we go next. I will update you probably when I'm done. But oh my gosh, I would die for Kerrigan Byrne. Seriously, this book is fantastic. I love it so much. Let's hope it continues on. Hello, friends. Different location.
Hi, Kazi boy. Mwah, thank you. Do you want to come see your friends? Come here. They want to see you. Come here. Come here, buddy. Come on. Good boy. Say hi, everybody. Say hi, everybody. That's a good boy. Yes, you are. Thank you. Kiss right on the mouth, huh?
I'm sorry if that grosses you out, but this is my baby.
Okay, goodbye.
He's getting a haircut this week. Fingers crossed for me.
Yeah, you're getting a haircut this week, huh? You're so sweet boy.
Okay, his head is on my lap. We'll see how long he stays there. So, friends, I finished The Duke. I finished this book. And for me personally, this is a 6-star read. This book was fantastic. This is definitely going to be on one of my favorite books of the year. I am so sad that I put off reading this for so long because I let the opinions of other people, dissuade me from reading it, because this has every single thing that I am looking for in a book overall, but specifically a romance, and even further specifically a historical romance. The way that these characters had to really fight and struggle to get their happily ever after, and fight and struggle not with external elements. I mean, obviously a little bit because of the murder plot in here and how Imogen was, in danger, but specifically with how the hero, Cole, for how he really, really struggled with so many internal things that he was dealing with. Like, I think about their first meeting when they had that first night, and she, the heroine, oh my gosh, I forgot her name. I know her name, Imogen. Y'all, I swear I get in front of this camera and my mind just goes poof. Imogen was so drawn to him in the beginning because of the tenderness, partly because of the tenderness that he showed her, and she wasn't expecting that, and it just pierced her heart, and she held on to that memory for years and years. And likewise, he felt something, that tenderness was brought out in him, but he felt this safe place with her. He felt like this refuge and solace with her that he had never felt before, that never ever left him. And I cannot even tell you how much I love that idea of meeting that someone. This is the same reason that I love The Duke by Catherine Ashe. You meet that someone who you just know this is your person. There's something different about them. You feel differently when you're around them, and that feeling never leaves you, even if you're torn apart through years or whatever. It was just beautifully, beautifully done. But it was just so interesting to see them meet up again, and she recognizes him, and he can't remember what she looks like, and that was just so fascinating to me. I love seeing a hero who noticed her beauty, I think it was probably a little bit of an unlikely beauty. She's very thin. He describes her as this waif-like ethereal beauty. And that was never the thing. Her beauty was never the thing that was what made him have such a powerful experience there. It was never about how she looked. I want more books like that. It's never about how she looked. It was how she made him feel when he was with her. And that is just powerful and beautiful, and I just love it so much. I can see why people don't like him. If you are unfamiliar with the type of trauma that he is going through, he is a man who has had some terrible things happen to him. He was in the war. Not only that, but he is living with chronic pain. And I actually wore this sweatshirt on purpose. Chronically Courageous, my dear friend Ava from Ava Reads Romance had these made, and she has a chronic illness. And I loved it so much that I bought myself one. I also have a chronic illness, specifically chronic pain, and the way that it just describes how that changes him and how that makes his emotions so much more volatile and so much more difficult to control. And I feel like if you maybe haven't experienced anything chronic in that nature, something that you deal with, something that you battle with every single day, whether that's a mental health issue or a physical health issue, something that is debilitating, I feel like it's very difficult to understand his point of view and his thought process unless you have experienced that yourself. And I think that Kerrigan did such an incredible job of really writing that in a way that felt very real to me, felt very realistic. I was completely in Cole's head the whole time I was reading this. I understood his point of view, and honestly, that's what I want when I'm reading a book. I want to understand this character's motivations, and it just has to be something more than she or he was really beautiful, or like the sex was really good, because like it's not enough for me. This life is filled with so much. People go through so many things in life, and the whole appeal to me of a romance is going through some of that really terrible stuff in life that could make you bitter or angry or a different type of person than you want to be. And you see Cole experience some of that, but then you find love, and that sort of transforms how you perceive yourself, the world, your life. It's like that shining, guiding star in the night when you're lost and you don't know where to go and where to look. Like that excerpt that I read, I feel like that was exactly what he was experiencing, and he was looking and searching for that feeling he had when he was with Imogen, Ginny, in the beginning. And he didn't know that she was right under his nose, I think that also, he doesn't find out that Imogen is Ginny until very near the end. They don't have a lot of time in this book where they're living happily. So I can see also, I know a lot of romance readers really don't like that experience. They want their couple to be happy for a long time of the book. And I don't agree. I find that to be, unless there's something else driving the narrative forward, I find that to be a little bit boring. I'm not really interested in just reading about my characters being happy for a long period of time, and, say what you will about me there, but what I really want to experience is their journey, their process, their thoughts, the experience of finding that person. And so for me, this was beautifully well done in there, but I will say I can see how if you're the type of reader who wants your couple to be together and happy for a long part of the book, this isn't going to work for you, So I don't find him to be unlikable at all. I do feel like he is definitely hard and cold at times, but that makes those small tender gestures for me, specifically the ending scene in here where he is very tender with Ginny, just so completely beautiful for me. I also know that I've heard a lot about the hero. I didn't really know. There is definitely a scene in here with dubious consent, and I know that can really turn off a lot of romance readers. I felt like it was very carefully done, and I felt like it was, that's why I feel like it's definitely murky. Consent issue is murky. I feel like consent is given, but it's a murky area because the question is there, like, basically she says wait, and he says don't ask me to stop. And so she doesn't. So I feel like the consent issues there, it's a little murky because she chooses not to, but you could also say, there's argument to be made there, so I can understand how that also might turn off readers, but it didn't for me. It worked beautifully. I feel like the thing that really impresses me about this book, again, is just the characters. The characters are so well done in here. They're so realistic, viscerally realistic. Every decision and action that these characters make, to me, feels like, yes, that is exactly how this person would behave. And it's just completely fascinating, completely enthralling. I was just hooked on this book from the first page to the last. This is probably, honestly, as surprising. I think this book, as far as Kerrigan's that I've read, this book probably is right underneath The Highwayman. This is my second favorite book of hers that I've ever read. And, I think my other favorite one, I don't know, I'm not sure what my other favorite one, maybe The Hunter would be my second favorite, but now The Hunter has been eclipsed. The Duke is The Highwayman is a favorite of mine, largely because that was the first book of hers I'd read. That book had a huge effect on me, but this book has a very big effect on me. So anyway, loved this book, 6-star read. I'm going to end this vlog real quick. Disappointed in this book, 3 stars. So I think that it's interesting. There are a lot of similarities in how these stories are told, specifically with the intimacy. This one didn't work for me at all. It felt very surface level, very shallow. This one worked for me exceptionally well. It was deep, it was emotional, it was full of nuance, it was fantastic. 6 stars for this one, all-time favorite. Oh my gosh, I could not be happier about this. I feel so excited about reading now. And I think this is a fun read, but it just wasn't giving me what I wanted. I wanted something more. And fell flat and felt a little shallow. I see